Think you don't make fragrance mistakes? Think again, because if you're anything like me, you're making tons of them, and you're on your third divorce. You're making these 10 fragrance mistakes. Stop it! Think of this as a public service announcement. I'm going to guide you through the Minecraft that is the world of a fragrance obsessive. The do's and the don'ts, the whys and the wheres, the no-nos and the yes-yeses. With all that out of the way, without further ado, with all that being said, let's get into it.
The mistake of not blind buying.
The first mistake you're making is not blind buying fragrances. If you only bought fragrances that you'd actually smelled, do you realise how small and pathetic your fragrance collection would be? You would have a piddly little selection that wouldn't even cover you for a dumb reach, let alone seasons like spring, summer, autumn and winter, or all the varied situations you may find yourself in, like date, formal, casual, club, gym, supermarket, cinema, weddings, funerals, hair appointments, court appearances, prison, sexy time, dog walking. I didn't just say prison sexy time, it was prison, comma, sexy time. Although, you never know. Imagine encountering any of these situations and not having an appropriate scent. Stuff of nightmares. You're making the mistake of not blind buying your fragrances. Want me to tell you how to avoid this mistake? Do blind buy your fragrances. Every brand depends on it.
The mistake of not buying full retail.
You're making the mistake of spending hours on Facebook, on eBay, scouring the World Wide Web for discount codes. You're putting way too much energy into saving money. Whilst wasting time trying to save money, you could have bought a frag and be out there in the real world enjoying it, not stuck in this endless cyber loop of trying to find discounts that don't exist. Trust me, I tried this with Nautica Voyage and it ain't worth it. If there was, I don't know, an energy crisis or the rising cost of living was crippling people's finances, then yes, I get it. Find some deals. But until then, wise up and spend up.
The mistake of not overspraying.
You're not overspraying your fragrance. What's the point? If your fragrance isn't entering a room half an hour before you do, how does anyone know you're coming? Yes, you could text them in advance, but that depends on you having a mobile cell phone. And not everyone has that luxury. Don't make dangerous assumptions. Some of us are spending our money wisely on full retail fragrances, rather than wasting our money on an addictive bar that we keep in our pockets that singes your eyeballs with dangerous blue light. Spray more than you think you need to, because if you don't, your scent bubble will burst way too early. Imagine being on a date. It's all going so well, and then suddenly your fragrance stops projecting. Game over. Someone else who isn't a sissy sprayer will come in and catch that fish. Remember this famous saying I invented: don't overspray, you're going to pay. Don't overspray, you're going to pay. Don't overspray, you're going to pay.
The mistake of not watching YouTube videos.
You're not watching YouTube fragrance reviewers. How else are you going to know what they want you to buy? How else are you going to click on their affiliate links? YouTubers are hard-working people who sometimes have to work 8 hours every week. Imagine that. Spare a thought for these hard-working people. Click their clickbaits. Don't let their begging for super chats fall on deaf ears. Have a heart. Also, let's circle back to blind buying, because how else are you going to know which fragrances to blind buy? If you're not watching YouTube fragrance videos, start watching them now. And when you do, make sure you like and subscribe. Support their channels, because it helps their channels grow so that they can make more money and get more free fragrances.
The mistake of not expecting compliments.
How stupid do you have to be to not expect compliments? Like there's any other reason why anyone wears a fragrance. Humans are delicate, pathetic creatures, and we need the affirmation from people around us that we don't stink. A day without a compliment is a bad day. It's a struggle. Why make life harder than it needs to be? I'm going to circle back to overspraying here, because if you're not overspraying, how is anyone going to smell you enough to be able to compliment you? It's not about selfishly wearing a fragrance just for yourself because you enjoy it. That's just baloney that people who don't get compliments make up. Compliments are king. Expect them.
The mistake of not dropping panties with your fragrance.
You're not dropping panties with your fragrance. This is rule 101. Why do you think the term panty dropper was invented? It's a simple case of science, of gravity. When something is up, it can be dropped. And you don't want to drop your fragrance bottle or your guts. Both of those things will induce tears. Panties are there for dropping. Just make sure you deploy a panty dropper cautiously. Imagine, for example, you're walking home at the end of the night with a hottie. You're on the edge of a dark canal. Suddenly, the panties are dropped. They're around the ankles, there's a trip, plop, in the river. That's when you might have to start thinking about that prison sexy time.
The mistake of not trusting YouTubers.
You're not trusting YouTubers. You're making the mistake of accusing YouTubers of having an agenda other than a pure passion for fragrances. You're accusing them of trying to get clicks and views. This isn't what YouTube's about. You're accusing them of directing you to affiliate links, to websites that they own, or merchandise that they're selling. Trust YouTubers. They're just as honest and as passionate as you are. Let go of this cynical idea that YouTube is a business, a platform for creative entrepreneurs to grow and flourish. Trust the YouTubers, listen to everything they say, even if you see the words includes paid promotion. You really think a YouTuber would promote something they didn't believe in 100%? If you love fragrance as much as I do, head over to my online store luxparfum.co.uk. You'll find my favourite brands plus brands you can't find anywhere else in the UK. Link is in the description.
The mistake of not wearing clones.
You're not wearing clones. This is such a dumb mistake. Think about it. You spend all that money on an expensive fragrance and then you go and waste it by spraying it all over yourself. How long do you think it's going to last if you do that? Pretty soon you'll have run out, and then where will you be? This way you can keep that original bottle practically full and proudly displayed on your shelf. You can keep your Instagram account looking tip top, because do you really think a partially full bottle is going to look anywhere near as good on that feed? Of course not. If you haven't already started using clones, do it, because no one's going to know the difference anyway. If you love the originals, if you have the utmost respect and admiration for these beautiful compositions, you'd want to save them, not waste them by spraying them willy-nilly all over yourself.
The mistake of wearing a unisex fragrance.
You're wearing unisex fragrances because some jumped up snob told you there's no gender in fragrance. What a ridiculous statement. Why are some bottles even pink? Because pink is only for girls. Everyone knows that. You wouldn't catch me buying a pink bottle of fragrance, that's for damn certain. Why do women want to go around smelling of men? Why do men want to go around smelling women? Each gender should stay in their own lane and only wear fragrances that are made for them. Unisex is just a word invented by fragrance brands to get more people to wear their fragrances so they make more money. Think about it. If you wear unisex, you run the risk of smelling like the wrong gender, of not getting compliments, of not dropping panties. Not a risk I'm willing to take, and you shouldn't either. No sir. Or madam.
The mistake of not owning more than 500 fragrances.
You're making the mistake of owning less than 500 fragrances. Look at the YouTubers. They've got hundreds and they're experts. No, they've not had any training, but these days you don't need training to become an expert. You just say you're an expert. Everyone knows that. YouTubers know the benefits of not owning too few fragrances. Think about how hard things would be if you only owned 400 fragrances. Think about how limited your choice would be. Think about how hard it would be to select an appropriate scent for each occasion. Looking for a date scent? Don't bother, because by the time you realise you don't have one, someone else will have taken your date out instead. Someone with at least 500 fragrances. If you don't own enough fragrances, you aren't worthy enough to call yourself a fragrance aficionado. Do you think a stamp collector owns only 100 or 400 or 450 stamps? No, more, because they love them so much. They take pride in their collection. Ask yourself a serious question. Do you own enough fragrances? It's not even about wearing them, it's about having them on your shelf so you can take a picture of your collection and post it on your social media. It's about getting GentSense to rate your collection. Do you think GentSense would waste his time rating a piddly little collection? Of course not. There's a simple answer here. Own enough fragrances. I hope you can take this help and advice from someone who has made all these mistakes and learned from them. I'll admit, I'm not perfect, but I wouldn't be a decent human being if I didn't pass on all my mistakes to other people so that they could make the same mistakes and also learn from them. Thank you for watching this far into the video. As a reward, I can inform you I am running a giveaway. All you have to do is comment on this video and you'll be in with a chance of winning a pinch of salt. I have many more advices to offer. If you think you need more advices from me, let me know and I will make another completely honest, educational, factual video just like this one. Until then, spray safe and I'll see you in the next one.